Hi everyone, and welcome back to Dimensional Wellness. This is DeeDee, and interesting. I'm looking at this car in front of me, and it's got 40, 30, 70 on it, 77. Which is so interesting because I've been seeing 77 a lot, especially connected to the Wizard of Oz. So maybe if you've been seeing that as well, 4037 or 347, and of course 77, during this time period, this message is probably, especially for you. And if you start to see it afterwards, because even the building in front of me, which I don't know if I realized that, is 1015, which is also a 7. I could go on with the 7 references and stuff like that, because even my birthday is a 77. But anyways, let's get into it, because I can go on and on and on about all the connections going on. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting dream that I had. Okay, so I was still talking to that person as a friend. So this had to be like mid-2020. This was another one of the 2020 dreams. And I thought that this was so interesting because at the time I didn't know what it was talking about, and I still don't know all the layers to it, right? Because when you have really profound dreams, where it's really, really lucid and all these things, it can be there could be multiple layers to it that kind of plays out over time on what it's connected to and what it is representing. So I don't know all the layers, but I am trusting that I'm talking about it at this point for a reason. And then eventually on the channel, I will have it to where I go back and I talk about, what I have learned and kind of updating things based on the dreams that I've had. Because I call them dreams because I believe that is, like a term that everyone can understand. But I know that a lot of the quote unquote dreams that I have are like astral travel experiences. So it's a little bit more than a dream. Probably a lot bit more than a dream. Probably a lot bit more than a dream. Okay. So this dream actually took place during a time period where I was... Hold on, because I need to think about, when did I have this? I think I had this dream before. Okay, so maybe this was early 2020. Oh, I wish that I still had the notes from 2020, because I don't even have that information anymore. But... So during this time period, I was dreaming a lot about being in cars and going specifically to the Catskill Mountain. I'm assuming so, because I went there once with family, maybe a few times, but I only really remember once going there with family. Oh, it's 858. I remember going there with family, and it was like the Catskill Game Farm. And I remember going there, but it's interesting because I don't really have like the memories of that, exactly what I was doing there. Maybe I was like riding a horse. I don't know. But it's a place that's like in upstate New York, Catskill Game Farm. Oh, actually, but it's kind of like an overlay, because I think it was Catskill, but it was also connected to Yellowstone, possibly. Because there was something about a big old lioness that was connected to this too. So it could also be Yellowstone as well. Both of them are probably relevant to this. Anyways, I've been having dreams about going to these areas of upstate New York. Now, I have family that's from New York, and so there's definitely family connections, but the dreams weren't always me going with family. Like, I was in the car with a celebrity going there too. And every time, you know, it's someone else driving and I'm kind of in the back seat observing what's going on. So anyways, I thought it was very strange. And there was a person that I knew at that time where there was something going on in her life and I can't remember what it was, but I ended up dreaming about it. Oh, yeah. Okay. How are all of these things connected? Okay, so let me talk about this dream and then I'll go to the other dream I'm talking, like the main dream I'm talking about, because I feel like this is all connected to each other. It might sound random, but I am eventually going to do timestamps, because even though it sounds random and choppy how I'm saying it, they're all related to each other in some type of way. Okay, so anyways, there's a person that I knew in 2020, and I'll just call her Casey. Okay, I'll call her Casey. Okay, so there was a dream that I had about Casey. This is in 2020. Did Kobe Bryant pass away in 2020? Hold on, because all of these things are connected. And the Kobe Bryant, I can't even talk about that dream right now. Okay, yeah. So he passed away in 2020. Okay, because I'm trying to get the time frame. So this was early 2020. Okay. So I had a dream after Kobe Bryant passed. Wait, no. I think this was before he passed that I had this dream. Hold on. Let me really think about this, because the time frame can be very important. This dream must have been like right around his passing. So, because I'm really thinking about it, it must have been right around his passing. So I would say like maybe really late January, like maybe the 30th, going into like the beginning of February is when I had this dream. Okay. So in this dream, like I said, I had a friend that, a person that I was talking to at the time. She was a friend at the time. Casey. Okay. Excuse me. And that is so weird. I just saw a car that had STD on it. That's so weird. Okay, let me focus. Okay, so anyway, so Casey, okay? I had this dream where I was in a car with Ray and the kids, and we were driving to Colorado. Okay? We're driving to Colorado, and like we were in full winter garb and everything. And I remember looking at myself in the quote unquote dream. And I remember being like, when did I even get the money to get all of these clothes and all this different stuff? You know what I'm saying? I was like really focused on that, because I'm like, did we plan for this trip? Like I was so confused at that point about how in the world we even got to Colorado, how we even got all the clothes that we had, you know, because at that time we were still living in New Orleans, and New Orleans definitely doesn't get cold enough to have, we had the whole shebang on, you know, like the long underwear and stuff like that. You know, if you go to, like, this STD truck is back. If you go... Okay, hold on, because that's really distracting. Like, okay. Because he, like, came back around and parked right behind the car. Like, just in case you didn't think it was relevant. It's relevant. And it's like a utility truck, which is so weird, because I'm like, oh, maybe, because I am reading it backwards. So there's like a heart, and then there's like a Wi-Fi signal on the symbol. So maybe it's DTS. Maybe that's actually DTS utility, but from this way it looks like STD, which is very interesting. Okay, let me get back. Okay, focus, DeeDee, focus. Okay, I did not know that Kobe Bryant's middle name was Bean. That's very interesting. Or is that what people called him? I'm just looking at his wiki. Okay, let me focus. Stop. Okay. Focused. Okay. So, I was really hyper-focused on this because which is not usually what happens in the dream world. Like, you know, usually in the dream world, I'm ordering myself and I have a sort of sense of like just expecting whatever. So it's usually not that I'm aware of what's going on, but it's hardly ever that I like question what's going on, because I have a sense of like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I trust that everything is everything. But this one was a little bit different, because I remember being like, how did I even get here? And I usually don't have that level of awareness to question it. I usually just kind of go with it, right? And so I was driving this car. Okay, so it's different than the other dreams I've been having, because I've been doing the passenger seat, just observing. This time I was actually driving the car. So we pull up to this nice log cabin, Colorado kind of situation. Okay. And we're getting out of the car, and like the kids are all dressed up and bundled and stuff. We have like luggage in the trunk. I mean, like we really packed for this trip, which is also not a quality I would say that we have of life right now, to where we were this organized and it actually went really smoothly. Okay. And so once we parked in the semicircle to like get our bags out, get the kids out and stuff, I was starting to panic, because I was like, did I even make reservations? Like, do we have the money for the hold on the car? Like, I don't even remember making any reservations or anything. I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to look totally silly because I'm going to walk in here and what if we don't even have a reservation? Like, I was like low key freaking out. Okay. But I'm a Capricorn, so I'm not going to let that show too much, because I'm like, okay, I guess it's going to work out, because ain't no way possible that I would have myself up here looking crazy. And so we get out and we go into the log cabin, which is also kind of something that we just don't talk about, going to like Colorado and renting out a log cabin with the kids and stuff. So I was just like, this is so random. Anyways, we go into this resort hotel kind of situation. I go to the front and I let them know my name. And the woman is like, yep, we have your reservation right here. And she takes my card and she swipes it and everything is everything. She gives me the keys. Okay. So I'm like, okay. Now at that point, when there's the validation that some type of reservation was made, some type of way there was money on the card, some type of way, blah, 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 that's when my brain clicked. And I was like, okay, I must be here for a reason. And I even noticed that in life, like, telling a little bit about myself, it's been very difficult for me to have like consistent money in my pocket. And so I know that when everything is lining up how it's supposed to, that means that it's something that's very, very essential to my life path, and specifically essential to me, right? Because some things can be essential to the people around you, but it's not necessarily essential to you. That's how I know it's something essential to me and the people around me, but especially essential to me, though. And so I was like, okay, so I must be here for a reason, because someone has set me up to be able to come into this situation with no worries, to just come here and do what I'm supposed to do. So I'm like, okay, cool. So at that point, I'm chill. Like, we're good. I know that something is going down. So as we're walking to the elevator... As I'm walking to the elevator, I start to notice that something is a little bit odd about the elevator. And so I'm like, okay, something is going on. So like, be aware. So I press the button for the elevator to come, and Ray and the kids get on, and then my bag like falls over or something. I promise you, the bag falls over, and some type of way I end up missing the elevator with Ray and the kids. So they go upstairs. So I'm like, that's weird. Because I'm like, it just fell over. It couldn't have been more than like 2 seconds. I should have been able to catch that elevator. But then my brain clicks again. I'm like, okay, there must be a reason to why I missed the elevator. Because there's no human reason that I missed this elevator, right? So I'm like, okay. So as I'm pressing the button for the elevator to come back down, all of a sudden there's two men that I was watching on YouTube. They don't actually do videos together anymore, which is interesting. But there are two guys that I watched on YouTube at the time. And I see them like storming in from the ceiling in this place. And I realized that I was kind of acting as the anchor to the reality for something to get busted in this resort. Okay. And so I was like, oh, snap. Okay. All right. Things got real. So as I saw them, and they were kind of like SWAT team. And I don't actually know that like in this life that they're directly associated to the military. Oh wait, maybe one of them. But they were like SWAT, and they were storming this place. Like one was like on the countertop with the front desk person. I was like, oh, something's going on here. So as I turned towards the front door, because I just instinctively felt like I should turn towards the front door, I started seeing like literally like how would I describe that? Like, I guess kind of like the Akashic records. Like when you see the Akashic records, well, when I see them, they kind of look like, kind of like Blu-ray movies, and it's kind of like, watermarked, and they just kind of appear in reality, like almost like an apparition. And so that's what I started seeing over the door. And so I started scanning these different missing posters. And I started realizing that there were a lot of women going missing in this area, but also that there were 2 Colorado Rangers, like forest rangers, that were going missing in this particular area. And so I remember being like, oh, okay, so this is the place that the Rangers were going missing. And that's why we're storming this place, because something must be going on here. And so I was literally seeing the wanted posters, because they also had suspects and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So I kind of like showed them the files, the people that were storming. I kind of showed them the files, and I was like, yeah, this is what's going on here, and this person is who we're looking for. So we also were able to like zoom in on the people who were missing, and we're able to do like face scans and recognition. It was like, and I remember even being like, what aspect of myself is this? Because what aspect of myself is this? Because it was very natural. Like I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what we're looking at. And I was like, whoa, what aspect is this? So I was like, okay, let them handle it. Because they were kind of like the bronze on the ground. Okay. So they were doing like the physical work, and I was more of like, you know, the mental, putting things together and stuff like that. It's kind of funny because I'm thinking about the guy that they call, what word do they give him? The guy in Criminal Minds, the one that, the mental analysis person. That's kind of like what my role was. But I also had some type of administrative position as well that I guess I forgot about, or that I just don't usually tap into, I guess. So anyways, I was like, okay, cool. They've got it from here. They got all the things to look for. They know the faces of who we're here to get. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me get in the elevator. Now, this is an interesting thing, which goes back to this girl, Casey. Okay. So as I get into the elevator, I know that I'm not going upstairs. So I get into the elevator, and the elevator turns black. It like the lights go out. And so I'm like, okay. I guess we about to do something else now. So then I end up in like a void space, and there's a guy that I'm sitting in front of, and I am giving him a tarot reading, just all of a sudden. And it was almost like I was giving him a reading in spirit. Now, I'm not a dead spirit, but it was like my astral form was able to pull his astral form into the void, and I sat him down. So we were kind of like in the elevator shaft, in an astral version of this elevator shaft. I don't know how to describe it other than that. So I pulled him in, and I had no clue who this guy was. Okay, we're gonna just call him Joe. So in the dream, I said his name, and I was like, Joe, you need a reading right now. And so he didn't know who I was, and he was confused about why I was there and why he needed a reading. And I didn't even know if he was really into readings, if he knew anything about that. You know, some people think that tarot cards are the devil and all type of stuff or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, all of that other stuff doesn't really matter right now because you need a reading. And so pretty much in this reading, from what I remember, I was basically asking him, because I knew that he was a ranger in this area in Colorado. And pretty much I was telling him, I was like, this is about to go bad in the reading. I was like, this is about to go really bad, and I need to know what type of involvement you have with this stuff. So I started showing him certain things, and there's one person that went missing that he did know, one of the women. And then there's one of the rangers that he knew that went missing. And so I was like, I need to know if you have any idea of what's going on here, or if you are directly involved with that. And I was like, it's going to be good. You know, I was like, I wasn't playing good cop, bad cop. That's just how it turned out. But I was like, I need to know what type of involvement you have. If you come, you know, straightforward now, then we can figure something out. I mean, within reason, because depending on what it is. Because, like, if you are involved, and it kind of, I'm going to be honest, it felt like some type of serial killer situation. So I'm like, but if you're involved in that type of way, it's nothing I could do for you, big dog. So we had a conversation, okay? So then I woke up, and I remember talking to Casey. I called her because for some reason I knew, and we're going to call this guy Joe. I'm hoping that's actually not, his name is Joseph. But we're just going to call him Joe. And so when I woke up, I immediately knew that this guy was connected to her. And so I called Casey, and I'm like, hey, do you know this guy named so-and-so? And she was like, yeah. And I can't remember exactly how she knew this person, but it was like a close relationship, like either a sibling or a cousin or something. And she, in fact, told me that he was a Deer Park Ranger in Colorado. And I was like, something's definitely going on. And so I encouraged her to actually reach out to him and talk to him and see if there's anything going on in Colorado. Now, of course, we know that, I kid you not, this Tacoma just passed me, and it has 24 on it. And I was just about to say that we know what Kobe Bryant had going on in Colorado. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And it's 9/17. Interesting. So that was that dream, okay? And that dream is connected to this dream I'm about to say, which, again, I'm not exactly sure how all these dreams are connected, but I'm sure over time it will play out. So this is still during the time that I am friends with this woman named Casey, okay? That's not her actual name. That's what I'm calling her right now. So in this dream, I'm supposed to be meeting Casey at a diner. And the funny thing is that when I talked to Casey, she told me that there was a specific diner that she utilizes, like, in her mind as kind of like an astral space. And she actually goes to a place in her mind that looks like a diner. And I was like, that's so crazy, because I was planning to meet her at a diner, and I could see the diner, and I could actually see her sitting in the diner in the booth waiting for me to get there in this dream. Okay. So in this dream, it was like I was coming from a hotel again, and I was waiting for a family member to come and pick me up. The same one that brought me to the Catskill in the other dream. Okay, so I'm waiting for this family member to pick me up. And we were supposed to, I think they had just offered to bring me to this diner, because the dream kind of started on that scene where I was already outside with my bag, with my luggage, and I was leaving the hotel, and I was going to go meet Casey at the diner, and then I was going to go home from there. And so, like I said, I don't know what the conversation was, because I didn't come in on that part. But I knew that they were supposed to be coming to get me, and they had offered to bring me to the diner. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So anyway, they pull up and they start acting wild. They start doing the most. And so I was like, oh, okay. I'm definitely not about to take this ride. So I went inside the hotel again, and I went to call me an Uber, because I was like, I don't have time for this right now, because this is a distraction. Like, even though their, feelings or whatever are real and blah, 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 I'm like, this is not the time. This is not the time for that, because, you don't offer to pick someone up to, like, start acting a fool about something that you could talk about at a different time. Like, this is not about you right now. this is about me getting to my destination. And so I just walked away, and I got in an Uber and I went to the diner. Okay. So I finally make it to the diner. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Because I wasn't sure that I was going to actually make it to the diner. So I get to the doggone diner and I'm talking to Casey. We're having a really good conversation about a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe the magicians too. Something about a season of the magicians. And all of a sudden I get this ping in my mind. That's the best way I describe it. It's like a ping. And it's not really like a sound necessarily. It's almost like, and I've talked about this before, it's almost like a silence in your mind. And if you are unaware of it, you would think that it actually is like a pause in your mind, but it's actually something downloading something to your consciousness. And so it's like blocking out a space in your mind for this consciousness to come in and deliver a message to you. Okay, so I get that pause and I'm like, okay, cool, something is going on. So I kind of adjust with it. And I'm like, oh, I have to go. So I'm like, Casey, I love you, girl. And this was a diner that was in Tennessee. Okay. So this was in, I don't know if it was in Nashville, Tennessee or something. I can't remember. But I was like, I have to go and do something right now. And so I was like, can you just stay here for a second? Oh, I see 87. I'm like, can you just stay here for a second? Because I have to go handle something. And she was like, what do you have to go handle? And I'm like, I'm not exactly sure, but something is calling me right now. So let me, like, my bat senses are tingling, right? Spider senses are tingling. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be back, girl. So I left her at the diner in Tennessee, and the next thing I know, I'm like literally like flying in the air to Alabama. And next thing I know, I'm like hovering in the air, looking over a specific part of Alabama that I used to live in when I was a kid, and I'm like with Ray, okay? So we're hovering, we're looking over this specific part of Alabama, which is connected to Spanish Fort in Daphne in Alabama. And there must be something specifically about this Junction Way, because I've dreamed about this Junction Way again recently. So it's like a bridge that goes from Mobile into Spanish Fort to the kind of front of you and left, and then to the right, it takes you to Daphne, Alabama. And so I'm looking over this area, and I remember, now this was the most interesting thing, I remember that a very long time ago, I kid you not, I remember that a very long time ago, I buried 3 treasures, 2 of them in Nashville and 1 of them in Alabama. And I was overlooking these areas to scan and see if those items were still there. Now, I don't remember exactly what the items were, but I remembered that in some past life or something like that, that I had taken 3 pieces of something from myself, and it was almost like I had buried them within children, not actual kids, okay, like energetically my children, like people that were extensions of me. But these children also had a tangible gift as well that they held on to during their lifetime. And so with the children, the gift was also buried with it. I hope that's making sense. So the children were the gift, and these were people who were connected to me. So it was 3 people connected to me, and I think it was 2 boys and a girl. 2 men, and I'm just thinking about the children reference, 2 girls and a boy. Two men and a woman. So they were actually the gift too, but they also had a physical, tangible gift as well. Okay. And so they were supposed to keep up with these items, let's say, as the physical extension of themselves. And they were supposed to bury themselves with it, or their family was supposed to bury them with this item. Okay. And like I said, 2 of them were in Nashville, and 1 of them was, I guess, in this area of Alabama. And so, like I said, me and Ray were kind of hovering and stuff, and I was scanning Alabama to see if I could sense where that item had been buried. And I don't know if I actually located it or not, But as I was scanning that, I got another ping. Now, the interesting thing is when I got this ping, there was a goddess that came up to me in the midst of me flying over to somewhere else. And this is so weird because I think that this place, I didn't actually know. Let me look it up right quick. Is it Route 66? Is that the Devil's Highway? Route 66. Yeah, okay. And that's in Arizona right now. Oh, look, and it is 2,400 miles. You better get out of here. That's 24 again. Okay. And this is the one that's like super, super long, right? Oh, look, June 27. You better get out of here. Okay. Yeah, Arizona to the Mojave Desert, and finally to the land of milk and honey, the metropolis of Los Angeles. Yeah, so it goes from Illinois to the rolling hills of Missouri Ozarks to the mining towns of Kansas, across Oklahoma, to open rich lands of Texas, and the enchanted mesa lands of New Mexico and Arizona. Okay, yeah. So as I'm going over to Route 66, now in the dream, I did not know about Route 66. Now, I'm talking about consciously. Like, have I seen Supernatural that has talked about Route 66? Sure. Like, have I probably heard about it? Like, I feel like I've seen something about, that guys driving dives and dash chop. You know what I'm saying? That show, I feel like I've seen something about off of Route 66. But I mean, like, as far as, like, actually looking into it and researching it and stuff like that, I had not at this point. And also we're in New Orleans, so we were not in Arizona yet, okay? But now look at us. Now look at us, okay? So anyways, because that's, like, life is actually really wild, to be honest with you. It's actually pretty wild. So anyways, I was flying over to Route 66, and like I said, in this dream, I did not consciously know about Route 66 or what it represented or where it was or anything, but I knew that that's where I was being pinged to go. Now, as I was flying over there, there was a goddess who was accompanying me, and this goddess name is Neith, okay? Now, at the time, she told me that her name was Tanit, Tanit. Tanit. Okay, so this is before I had the chaos dream, the 8-pointed star of chaos dream. This is before I officially met her, let's say, as Neith or Newt or Net. Okay, but in this dream, she told me her name was Tanit. And that we were directly connected to each other. Now, she was talking to me in the same form as kind of like an energy form. And I didn't really get like a full, like, I don't know, synopsis on her energy and everything, because we were like moving fast and I had to go to Route 66. And I didn't know what was going on Route 66, but I knew that it was something bad. I had a pit, like is that the terminology? A pit in my stomach feeling of something really bad. And I was like, I gotta get here fast. But in the midst of this fast movement, she let me know her name was Tanit and that we were connected to each other. And so I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, why are we going? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, you're a goddess, Tanit, cool. Why are we going to Route 66? And so she told me, and this made me pause. She told me when you get there, she was like, I am on the planet and I'm looking for my brother. My brother has been doing a lot of negative stuff even since Carthage. And I feel like she specifically told me about Carthage. Now, this is, I think, after I had the Queen Illishot dream and like connected to Carthage. But I don't know if I put them together because I don't think that I had studied about Tanit in Carthage yet. Because when she said her name was Tanit, I didn't have like a realization like, oh my gosh, I've been reading about Tanit. I was just like, okay, cool, Tanit. Like I said, she spelled it for me and everything. So I'm like, okay, cool. So she was like, he's been doing crazy things since Carthage. And I'm here trying to find him, but he is hiding in someone. Look, it's 87. Look, VLA, Vala, or I feel like it's trying to say 87. Interesting. So anyways, we get to our destination. So she said that she's on the planet looking for her brother, that he is hiding in someone, and he is doing crazy things on the planet, and she is basically here to take him home. That was pretty much her thing, but she could not locate him. And so she was letting me know that she thought that whatever was going on Route 66 was connected to her brother. Okay. So the next thing I know, I am at a gas station. Okay. Typical in the middle of nowhere looking gas station. Now, I don't know where we are on Route 66 either, but I knew that this gas station was off of Route 66, and it was like a deserty kind of place. Like, there wasn't much. I don't even know if there was another gas station across the street. Like, certain gas stations, they're kind of like in an area with a whole bunch of fast food places and stuff. I don't think it was a place like that, because I can't remember if there was anything across the street, actually. So anyways, I was behind a little, like, dark blue, I think, sedan, an older sedan. So it looked like a car from, I don't really know, maybe the 80s or 90s or something like that. It was an older sedan. Like maybe 99 type of sedan or something like that, with the white kind of windows, and it's got that older kind of look to it. And it was an older car in general. Okay. And so I'm standing behind it. Now, I know that to a certain degree, I have some physicality to me. Okay, so I wasn't fully physical, but I had some physicality to me. Okay, so I was standing behind this car, and I was, okay, it must be something going on here, because that's where I landed. And I was looking through the back window of this car, and I could see a woman sitting in the passenger seat, and obviously she looked like a woman. Oh, look, Allah. Interesting. ALA, Allah. Interesting. I'm seeing all of the things today. Allah. So this woman would look like, a typical person sitting in the passenger seat that's on a long road trip. She had her feet up in the dashboard. She was on her phone, stuff like that. And I noticed that she had a little boy in the car. So he was probably about 5 years old. And these were people that looked, stereotypically, because, your phenotype doesn't define who your actual family and, generations and stuff like that. But phenotypically, I would say that she looked like a First Nation woman. Maybe a woman from South America is what I would probably say. Maybe someone around, maybe Mexico or something like that, or, maybe Mexico, somewhere in Mexico or something like that. And so she had her feet up and stuff like that, and I knew that her husband had gone in to pay for the gas. So they're waiting for him to go pay at the counter, pay for the gas, and, he had left the door open, so unlocked. So not like actually open, but unlocked. And I immediately got this horrible feeling, okay? And this is how I knew that I was like semi-dense, but everyone couldn't see me. So as he was going in there, there was a black homeless man, which goes to my BioBot video. So if you haven't listened to it, which most people haven't right now, but if you go and check out my BioBot video, did I leave that up or do I have to redo it? I might have to redo that. Oh, look, 828. Interesting. I heard that 28 and 828 are very heavy occult numbers. That's like a whole nother story, because everything occult is not like evil or anything like that, but that's just interesting that that's the Anakia. Interesting. So anyways, okay, so this older black gentleman, he had to be like a hard 47, 48, 49 homeless black man, and he was coming up to the car under the guise of like wanting to, they come with the windshield wiper situation. You can give him $1 or something like that. He was coming up there, but I knew that he was trying to get that boy, and so I was like, oh hell no. So now this is interesting, I actually pushed her consciousness out of the way. So I switched spots with her. So I was standing behind the car, And she was sitting in the car with her little boy in the back seat. And she waved for him to come and do the window wiping thing. But she wasn't really paying attention because she was on her phone. So by the time he would have gotten over to her son's side, he could have easily grabbed the boy and at least ran or whatever he was planning to do. Okay, so I was like, oh, hell no. So I switched bodies with her. So I pushed her to the outside of the car where I was standing. So I guess I had some type of astral form. I pushed her into my form and I took over her body. And when he he actually opened the door, which is not what I thought he was going to do. But he actually opened the door like he was going to steal the car with both of them in it. And when he did that, I grabbed his arm. And when I grabbed his arm, I let him know that it wasn't who he thought it was in his body right quick. Like, it's not who you thought it was, homeboy. And so I stared at him in his eyes and I realized, and this is like so sad and it's like triggering. I'm sorry if it's triggering or if you know someone that's had an experience like this. I knew that he was unaliving children. And he was doing something very strange that I still don't understand right now. But he was doing something where he was placing their ashes in an aerosol can and spraying them into the air. And there was something about that for him, the smell of it in the air, that was alluring to him. And I know that he had done this to at least 9 other children. And it was so unfortunate. My heart was absolutely breaking. And I was like, dang, I don't know how he even got this far, but I'm glad that we were at least able to save this child and then be able to help the other children to cross over and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, this must be the brother that she is talking about. So I knew that he wasn't the entire embodiment of the brother she was talking about, but I knew that he was a direct soul stream, let's say, to this brother. And I was like, okay, so he's doing crazy stuff, like with children. And I was like, okay, we have definitely got to figure out what's going on with children. And, and that was the end of the dream. And how all of those things are connected, still, I don't know to this day. I don't know how all those things are connected, but I know they're connected in some type of way. So that is what I wanted to share today. Of course, if you have anything to add to it or anything, you can email me. My email is in the description box below, dimensionaldreamswellness@gmail.com. And make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss when I post the next videos. Bye, friends.